Hi, guys. Lori Caroline. Just the news. I have an interesting article I want to share with you guys. New Zealand Prime Minister rushes world's most extreme abortion legislation into law while country distracted with pandemic. Now, this article is actually from March 28th, but I just heard about this today, which has made me think maybe some of you guys haven't heard about it. There's our New Zealand Prime Minister, and there is a full-term baby. New Zealand's MPs have introduced the most extreme abortion law in the world after abortion legislation bill passed its third reading in Parliament. The bill passed 68 votes to 51, a much narrower margin than at the first and second reading. The new law will mean that New Zealand has the most extreme abortion law in the world. This will include abortion will now be Okay. Abortion will now be available on demand for any reason up to birth. Selective abortion will be legalized. Don't want a boy? The current 20-week limit for disability selective abortion will be scrapped, and abortion will be available up to birth for disabilities including cleft lip, clubfoot, and Down syndrome. There will be no requirement that a doctor must be involved with providing an abortion. There will be no legal requirement that babies born alive after a failed abortion are given medical support. There will be no legal requirement that pain relief will be given to babies being aborted between 20 weeks and birth. There will be no legal restrictions on controversial methods of abortions, such as intact dilation and extraction abortions, also known as partial birth abortions. Polling shows that the new law is strongly opposed by the public in New Zealand, and in particular women, with only 2% of women supporting abortion being available on demand up to birth. 93% of women opposing sex-selective abortion being legal, and 94% of women supporting the current legal standards for abortion providers and premises. Given the extremely low public support for the change, and that the gap between the MPs opposing and supporting was quickly closing, Jacinda Ardern's government rushed the final stages of the bill's progress through Parliament, while MPs, media, and the country were distracted dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. This included progressing the final sitting of the committee stage and the bill's third and final reading through Parliament on the same day. The bill has seen a very large backlash from the disability community, with over 1,200 people with Down syndrome and their families calling on the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern to keep a pre-election promise not to introduce abortion up to birth for Down syndrome. An amendment hoping to put the issue to a public referendum failed in a conscience vote by 100 votes to 19 votes, denying the public a final say on the legislation. Additionally, the Abortion Legislation Committee only heard from 139 people who wanted to give oral feedback on the bill, despite over 25,000 submissions. By way of comparison, the Climate Change Response Zero Carbon Amendment Bill received just 10,000 written submissions, but the Environment Committee heard 1,500 oral submissions. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern was among 80 MPs responsible for defeating an attempt to require healthcare professionals to give medical help to babies born alive after failed abortions. An attempt to protect babies from sex-selective abortion was defeated with 50 votes in favor and 70 against, despite strong concerns over the practice being highlighted in a submission to the Abortion Legislation Committee from Stop Genocide, a campaign group who had urged MPs to support the amendment. Other defeated pro-life measures, aiming to soften the scope of the bill, included pain relief to babies being aborted between 20 weeks and birth, stronger protections to conscientious objection, and requiring the collection of abortion statistics. Over 60,000 people signed a petition calling on New Zealand Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters to ensure the government withdrew the bill. The Green Party failed in its attempt to reverse a mistake that resulted in criminalized free speech zones, which prevent pro-life help from being offered outside abortion clinics, being excluded from the legislation. Green Party leader Marama Davison had attempted to reintroduce the measure, but MPs voted 73 to 43 against it. Now, in today's climate, it is important. Oh, sorry. That's the news organization. Let's go down. Is that it? Nope. New Zealand based pro-life campaign group Voice for Life said, in passing Labor's extreme abortion bills, our MPs have ushered in a new law that will liberalize abortion up to birth, allow for sex-selective abortions, and remove current freedom of conscience rights from New Zealand medical professionals. Over the last few parliamentary sessions, our MPs had the opportunity to pass amendments that would have corrected some of the worst extremes of this bill, but instead they chose to reject such moderate measures. Our parliament has a duty of care to consider the well-being and protection of all New Zealanders, including the vulnerable. Tonight they failed in that most basic duty of care by passing this extreme bill, but the hundreds of thousands of voters who oppose this bill will not forget this failure when it's time to vote in the general election in a few short months. I hope so, guys. We've got to get rid of these psychos. I mean, this is infanticide. This is infanticide. Babies born alive after a partial birth abortion are not guaranteed life. Up until birth. My brother had a baby. Well, his wife had a baby. But they had a baby that was born 1 pound, 2 ounces. He was born when she was 6.5 months pregnant. He is a joy today. He's 5. He is adorable. But babies older than him will be aborted. It's just mind-numbing to me. Mind-numbing. Okay, let me know what you think about this article. And be sure to subscribe, guys. I don't have enough subscribers yet. And click like and give me a comment. Do something. Interact, people. Interact. All right. Lori Caroline, peace out.